thank you, Florence, for sitting down with us for a few minutes, and thank you for being here for tonight.
Oh,
We've been looking
thanks
forward to
for
this for a long time.
thanks for having us back.
So let's talk for a moment about How Big, How Blue, How Beautiful. It's been hard to believe, but it's been almost a year since the record came out.
I know, yeah.
And what a year it has been. It's your third album, your first number one in the U.S., and a year during which you played at too many festivals to keep count of.
Yeah.
Do or have you had time to reflect back on this past year or even the past few years?
It's kind of all still going, so I haven't really had a chance to. To have a number one in America was just such a big moment, especially as so much of this record was inspired by being in America. You know, it was a lot of it was written in LA, and I definitely had a feeling of, you know, the sky in the album is a big blue American sky, you know, the kind of sky you can only get here that just seems to go on forever. So for it to go to number one here was a really beautiful thing, and we're touring the States right now, and the warmth and the sort of everyone seems to really have embraced this record, and we're having the crowds, it seems to really connected, and that's we feel very honored at that, but yeah, it's we, you know, as it's going, it's still, you're still kind of just in it, and you're like, okay, just get to the next gig. You don't really have that much time to reflect. It was funny because actually, as we've been touring the States, I think the last time we were touring ceremonials here, my life was taking a course that would kind of lead me to the record. You know, it was things, the tour ended, and I started trying to find my feet in the world again, because I've been touring for 8 years, and it was, you know, when you're touring, and I'd literally been touring since I was 21, and the little life things that you're supposed to do, like moving out of your parents' house and trying to have a relationship off the road, and like, what time do I go to bed, and am I allowed to drink for 3 days straight? Oh no, I've trashed the house. You know, it's kind of all these things that I didn't really have an idea of, like, how to live and how to love in a space that wasn't touring, and it was a real learning curve. You know, it was kind of a crash landing, I think, because left to my own devices, without people kind of taking me to the next gig or picking stuff up, I was like, oh, I don't have any off switch. And and it was really learning how to live and love, and all of the pain and confusion that comes with it went into that record, I think. I was in the middle of all that chaos then with this little idea, and you don't think about it until I kind of look back afterwards and being like, oh, I really just created so much drama myself, and maybe that's my comfort zone, is these extreme situations, but the place where the songs comes from perhaps is wiser than me. Like, I'm not sure. Often there are messages or things that I'm figuring out, that I can figure out in a song, than that I, in daily life, I'm just don't think about enough, probably.
Perhaps you're a channel for these songs coming from somewhere.
I don't. Yeah, it's funny, but I'm always writing and like and kind of, but little snippets of things and conversations and stuff, and it all kind of gets collected. But if something's going on in my head and I can't figure it out, usually if I write a song about it, it's a kind of like exorcism of something. It's my way of, the world is, I think, for me, like, I feel things in quite an intense way, and the world is almost like hallucinatorily vibrant. And it's like, sometimes it feels like everything's coming at me way too fast. And if I absorb it and then put it into a song, it kind of helps me figure out what's happening, and I'm like, okay, that period of time, this happened. And so in some ways it is like, it's not painful, but it helps to write about painful things because it makes them less painful. The thing is what's good about performances is when you just have your songs in the studio, it's like you're stuck with them and they're your feelings. And sometimes when I was recording the songs for How Big, How Blue, How Beautiful, it was sad and agonizing because it was just me speaking to me, and the songs become your talismans, and they become your little charms, and you need them to keep you safe and sane, but it's just you versus you all the time. So it's actually when you get up on stage and sing it to other people and you connect emotionally, that the experience is shared, and that's where the real catharsis comes from, of seeing someone else singing something that felt so personal just to you, to see someone having their own experience is incredibly freeing. I think especially with this record, I wanted to be free to be able to move as much as possible, because dance had become a big part of what I was doing and the work I was making. But yeah, sometimes I feel like it was almost as if I could like tear pieces of myself off on the stage, I would. Sometimes there's a feeling of wanting to release so much that if I could pull my skin off live on stage, I would do it. There's such a feeling of really wanting, and I think it's almost the energy in the room is everyone also wants to release things at the same time. So as you're performing, you're kind of releasing these things, everyone else is as well, but you also absorb everyone else's feelings. So it's a kind of it's almost like you're letting go of it, like everyone's stuff and your own stuff all at once. So there is this feeling like if I could sort of, and I don't know, I can't really do it by halves. So I feel like I have to leave everything out there on the stage. I think if I could explode or something, I would. I wanted to be like, when I was a really little kid, I wanted to be in musicals, and I thought I wanted to be on Broadway, and I loved musicals, but I kind of already, there was just something too spooky about my voice for the musicals. At school, I think there was something too odd about, and I was in the chorus for a lot of musicals at school, but yeah, I think it is. My voice is kind of just like is a vehicle for me to sort of express feelings that almost perhaps the words aren't even quite there yet. I don't even know what I would want to say, but if you sing them, a mundane word can have this weight to it. Like I was thinking, a lot of my earlier songs were just kind of words that were cobbled together that would seem to have no sense, but if you sing them, you can give something an emotion or a meaning that it wouldn't have if you just saw it written down. If you see me on stage let loose, imagine that person in their own house with like 3 days to spare and quite a lot of people they shouldn't be hanging out with. It's the same energy. So you've got to use it wise. So trying to come back into myself after gigs and touring I'm still learning. We're on our last tour now, and I'm still trying to like figure out, because there's a side of me that is, yeah, it's like the self-destructive side is almost like running the show when I'm on stage, but there's a place for it. But the quieter introvert, it's like, I like reading and being by myself and just mooching around. So there is more of a balance, I think, now.